I think my accent is smooth and easy.
I think it'd be disingenuous if I told you I didn't like it, just because it's a big part of who I am.
I get feedback that I sound different, as well as I feel are a little bit more conscious of it.
I love my accent.
I like me, so I like my accent. It's, you know, I come from good stock. I have a great family. I have wonderful people in my life. I'm proud of who I am. So if I've got a great twang, I will own it 100%. I do love it.
Everyone has an accent. Even you. You have an accent because you are from somewhere. Your accent is an artifact of the people in your community and a necessity for survival. An accent is not intrinsically intelligent or dumb. You can have an accent and do wondrous things for your community, your family, and for yourself. There is more than one accent in this state, with several combinations of vowels, consonants, diphthongs, pitches, emphases, all making up the music of this state. If all these voices are from the state of Arkansas, there has to be more than one Arkansas accent. Welcome to the Arkansas Accent Project. Arkansas is called the natural state. From the Ouachita Mountains, to the swamps, to the rice fields, to the Mississippi River, Arkansans are deeply rooted in the earth.
I mean, I feel like a total Arkansan when I'm around the buffalo, and I like to go trout fishing on the White, you know, and I just feel like, and I've loved where the White and the buffalo come together, and it's too cold to swim in the fish for trout in the White and go swimming in the buffalo.
We have a lot of people that are huntsmen and fishermen. I say man, but women and men is definitely something that a lot of people enjoy doing.
Oh, the mountains. Well, and this is very, very personal, but my dad always told me that when my mother died, he took me up on West Mountain, and that's where he told me my mother had died. So West Mountain is just a very special place for anybody who's grown up here.
We do a lot of hunting and fishing. My daughter shows horses, so we're outside a lot with that activity. And so we like to sit outside a lot. We like to do a lot of our visiting and family time outside. And so I think it's just a part of who we are. We'd almost like to be outside more than we are inside. And so it's just kind of a way of life for us.
Arkansans speak differently than anyone else I've met in this country. Arkansans notice that too, or notice that other people notice.
I met a woman in Chicago through a business relationship, and she looked at me and she said, "I'm from Kentucky, but I worked to lose my accent." I went, "Well, on you." You know? My first reaction is I'd like to slap her, but I didn't. Anyway, no, I've always been really comfortable with it.
What I really like about my accent is when I travel, because when I travel, that's when I realize I have an accent. But when you go to New York or I go to California, people love to hear you talk because you're slower and you just have a different accent, the accent that we have from New York, from the East Coast or the West Coast. It's different, and I like being different.
I harken back to a story that a colleague of mine that came from a big-time bank, and she was working at a bank that got bought out by a bank in the Northeast, and they flew in some Northeast folks to kind of help with the conversion of both banks. And she said that, you know, one of those New England folks basically told people, literally said, "Shut up," in a meeting because, you know, they were talking over each other. And I was like, you would never hear a Southerner in a business setting tell someone to shut up. And that's not an accent, so to speak, but I feel like our accent, I mean, I don't even think you can say shut up in a Southern accent. And I feel like an accent is just more than how you draw your words out or how you say things, but it's also the color and the imagery that you use in your words.
My best friend, she's got a twang, I guess, like I do, and her sister used to live in New York. When she went to go visit her sister in New York and she was meeting all of her sister's friends, they were like, say something like this, say something like this. And so my friend would say that, and they're like, "Can you record my voicemail message?" And listening to her speak on a recording was completely different than when we talk in person. Because she was like, "Hi, y'all. This is so-and-so cell phone. Leave a message. Bye." And I just remember thinking, is that what I sound like?
I feel like a Southern accent is like really like twangy, if that makes sense, like kind of drawn out, and maybe speaking like a little bit slower is what I would consider a Southern accent.
And then get out on the perch instead of on the porch.
I would go to church and, okay, we talk about Jesus, and they would say there was Jesus Christ showed up in the flesh. Instead of saying flesh, they would say flush. It was Jesus in the flush. I'd be like, what is flush?
I know somebody who pronounces onion, ungen.
So, what exactly is an accent? An accent is the significant and nuanced vocal expression of vowels, consonants, diphthongs, stress, volume, and pitch changes unique to the speaker's culture. An accent may reflect who raised us, whom we admire, whom we want to be like, even with whom we support. They say who we are and whose we are. Kelly Bass is the Chief Executive Officer at the Museum of Discovery in Little Rock, Arkansas. Kelly is an Arkansan native, and you can hear it when he speaks about nature, the museum, and his accent. Listen to how Kelly says the word why.
They're listening to our stories about the museum and why the Museum of Discovery is a fabulous place that plays an important role and why it's worthy of their support.
Kelly doesn't say the full sounds of I in why. He speaks the first vowel, then lets it fade. He drops the second vowel of the diphthong, two vowel sounds that come together to make one vowel sound.
Why the Museum of Discovery is a fabulous place that plays an important role and why it's worthy of their support.
This characteristic sounds open, easy, wide, even accepting. Other people I met spoke this way as well.
So I grew up being like, what's your name? And guess what? I'm short. I mean, I'm barely 5 feet tall.
Money Jordan is the executive director of the King Biscuit Blues Festival in Helena, Arkansas. Listen to how she says the word 5.
I'm barely 5 feet tall.
You can also hear it with Susie Tommy from Lone Oak, Arkansas.
He handed me a piece of paper and said, say this. And I said, light white rice. And everybody's table, because they don't talk that way up north.
This phenomenon is called monophthongization, and it's beautiful to listen to. But that's just the start of what Arkansans do. Short a, as in cat, has a wide variety of sounds. Sometimes it can be lengthened, such as in aya.
She was really big on bathtub. That was a big one that I just remember she had a clawfoot bathtub and she would go bathtub.
Or it can be formed higher in the sinuses as a short eh sound, as in that or and, turning that into that or and into end.
I mean, I think it's obvious that accents are going away more as we globalize media, and there's definitely discrimination against particularly people from the Northeast.
Short eh sound, as in get, is formed in a higher place in the vocal tract, around the eyes, forming either the diphthong a, as Kelly demonstrates.
Well, I mean, there's real Southern people that just talk real country, and so and I probably could phonetically, put it together where I know what that looks like.
Or as the short I, as Miguel demonstrates.
My name is Miguel, and I'll never forget this.
And
it depends who you ask.
The accent may invent diphthongs from the short I sound, as in hit or lick, and long E sound, as in beam or meat.
When she would be upset, it took longer for those syllables to come out. So if she was upset and she said buttermilk, it was buttermilk. And it came out really slow and really drawn out.
Listen carefully to how Money says T in t-shirt.
And I don't care if I'm in New York, California, Colorado, whatever, people say, oh, where'd you get that t-shirt? I said, well, in Helena, Arkansas, where I live, that's where it is.
These are examples of the great movement upward, where everything is formed one floor higher than usual. This is called the Southern vowel shift, and defines a Southern accent as different from other accents in our country. An accent can apply to consonants as well. For example, the intrusive sound, like when wash becomes wash.
Wash, I've heard people say wash with an R.
It's like a spatula. Like there's no R in spatula. Or wash rag. That's another one. I always think of my grandmother, but she'd say wash rag. She still says that. There's no R in wash rag, washcloth, you know.
Pops up other places too.
My mom, she would say, when we would talk about different races, she didn't say Caucasian, she said Caucasian. I said, doesn't have an R. Why do you keep adding an R to it? So, I know it sounds weird, but she would add an R to it.
But how Arkansans talk also includes their choice of words. Phrases passed down from older generations, phrases they themselves create, and expressions that are particular to a specific region are called a dialect. And just like an accent, we all have one. There is definitely an Arkansas dialect.
My great-grandmother had that y'all, and every syllable was 6 syllables.
If you get in an elevator in Arkansas, people go, "Oh, darling, where'd you get those shoes?"
You know, everybody talks about bless your heart it can be an insult. It can be a genuine, like, oh, I feel so bad for her. But depending on the way you say it, it could be, oh, bless your heart, like, oh, you know.
We call it all Cokes. You know, you want a Coke? Yeah, what kind? I'll take a Sprite. Is that a Sprite or is that a Sprite?
I remember as a kid just kind of gathering around a campfire or kitchen table and just making fun of each other. It's like, I'd say, y'all say that? You know, that boy ain't right, or fish or cut bait.
My grandmother, you know how some people would say, oh my God. My mom would say, Lord have mercy. Or my grandma would say, goodness gracious alive. I was like, what?
One term kept coming up during my interviews, a term that some find very funny, while others find incredibly offensive: hillbilly.
I would meet somebody and the first thing they would say, "Oh, I see you're wearing shoes." Because, you know, it was the hillbilly image that nobody in Arkansas wore shoes.
I don't think hillbilly is something that you would hear folks in probably Kentucky or in your Georgia would say, but I think they would probably say referring to Arkansas, which I think that's probably where we get it from, is hearing other people refer to our state as being kind of hillbilly-ish, but it's not the whole state, it's just maybe parts of it. It kind of depends on what you think hillbilly is too.
This term, this characterization of a lazy, ignorant, shoeless, poor country folk is entwined in this state's history. It's a character that many residents are quite familiar with and might even claim.
I worry that I sound country. I worry that I sound like a hillbilly and I'm country, and you know what, maybe I am.
I do think that Arkansans have to deal with the image of being hillbillies. That seems to be the most common way people would think about us in other areas of the country. I always tell people, when I'm other places, yes, we wear shoes, that kind of thing. Now we think that we're hicks. I remember the first time I was in New York, this woman asked me, now Arkansas, that's somewhere way out west, isn't it? And I want to say, it's a pity they don't teach geography in New York. So that was pretty much the end of that.
One fascinating thing about accents is that they do not always follow rules. They may not always stay consistent. Zeke Taylor is an artist in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and is the first gay male to be legally married in the state. He told me the story of getting to the courthouse, getting denied a marriage license, and then standing in line with the court ruling in his hand until he was finally given a marriage license. I was moved by his story, but also struck by how his accent changed as he told the story. Notice how Zeke says the word Arkansas. Sometimes the last vowel sound is made with relatively flat lips.
It has been ruled by a judge in Little Rock that same-sex marriage is legal in Arkansas.
And sometimes the last vowel is made with rounded lips.
I guess that law would be what it is, that same-sex marriage is legal, would be legal in Arkansas.
Notice how he says the word license. In the same sentence, he pronounces the diphthong with both its vowel, I, then does the Southern habit of dropping the second vowel of the diphthong, making I.
So I had the judge's 14-page ruling in my hand, and I said, you have to legally give us our license.
Then,
another clerk has stepped up and said she will issue the license.
also words ending in ing can have the final g sound pronounced or dropped altogether.
It's a pleasure having you here. It was in one of the broadcasting classes. We made history just by doing that.
And sometimes he both keeps and drops the ing sound in the same sentence.
It's nice to have something in common with a person that you run across. And I really can't think of anything else to add.
Zeke says the same word in more than one way. The inconsistencies, the surprises, make the accent more interesting, more human. Stress sharpens a consonant. A joyous memory lengthens a vowel. And Arkansas may have its final vowel rounded if the speaker is feeling connected to the land, or flattened if the speaker is sharing facts. There is a connection between thought and sound. As thoughts change, sound changes. But emotions and thoughts aren't the only things that can spark inconsistencies in an accent. Sometimes, a speaker may inherit the accent and dialect of more than one culture.
So my whole life was under one roof, and that's from 2 years old to 5. And all of a sudden one day my mom's like, get on the bus, you're going to school. And I'd never spoken a lick of English. And I remember just the scariest bus ride of my life was on the way to school, thinking, what's going to happen when I get there? And it's crazy how you remember these things. I don't know if it's trauma or something, but I remember that day clear as day. But when I got there, literally before I even stepped foot off the bus, Ms. Villarreal, my ESL teacher, was waiting for me because she was going to help me learn English. And I mean, I get chills when I tell that story because it felt like an angel just covered her, covered me with her wings. And then I just kind of black out that, and I remember just waking up one day and being fully bilingual.
Miguel's parents came to Little Rock from Guadalajara, Jalisco when he was 2. Starting school had its challenges.
The guidance counselor asked my mom, hey, would you like your son to go by Michael? Because Miguel is Spanish for Michael. And my mom was infuriated. She said, you tell her your name is Miguel, and they will call you Miguel. And I just told the lady, I was like, I'll go by Miguel, it's fine. But stories like that, right? But again, all that to say, I doubled down and said, this is who I am, and I'm proud of it. As I got older, I realized that really was my superpower, if you will, in that banks, business leaders want to tap into that community, but they can't. They need somebody like me. That was one of my hardships later on in my life. It would be the key to my success. And what's more American than that, right? I would argue that there is a Mexican or Arkansan accent, if you will, and maybe that's what I sound like, right? Because my English accent, or my Southern accent, if you will, is not like yours.
Miguel has an Arkansas accent. This accent was created here. Miguel has several vowel changes and the lengthened sound that are common in predominantly white rural Arkansas, paired with the staccato speaking rhythm of Mexico. It is an Arkansas accent.
I didn't realize the extent of my accent really until my sister moved to California, and we took a family trip out to California, and I met her friends, and they thought it was the most insane thing that a Vietnamese kid had such a heavy Southern accent, and they would crowd around and be like, say this. And I'd say, and they'd be like, oh. So yeah, that's when I was like, well, I guess I have a pretty distinctly Southern accent.
Alex Ha, a residential appraiser, is of Hmong descent, an ethnic group from Southeast Asia whose presence in Arkansas stems from the evacuation of Allied groups by the U.S. government at the end of the Vietnam War.
I think Fort Chaffee being a location for Vietnamese refugees, that is something I'm pretty proud of. I know at first there was quite a bit of pushback, but I think as a whole, I think the overwhelming majority would say that it's been very positive.
Alex, whose lineage does not begin in our state, feels at home here and is fiercely proud of living in America. His accent reflects that. You can hear traditional Arkansas vowel sounds, lengthened diphthongs, and a short sound before a long E sound. He believes he is 100% Arkansan.
Do I feel like I'm an American? I would say half of the time.
Montanique Davis is an esthetician and small business owner from Forest City, Arkansas, in the east part of the state.
Freedom. It means to be an American, in my opinion, means you should have the freedom to have the basic rights, to live freely, to not be discriminated against, to be able to go to any store you want to. And so another lady that I work with, she was like, Montanique, what is Ebonics? Can you explain it to me? I said, well, Ebonics is mainly a slang. Like, instead of saying I'm going home, you say I'm going to the crib. I mean, people have their own little words, but people are, instead of saying ask, we say ax. And so it's too exhausting to try to correct your accent. Because it's just an accent, it's just how it sounds coming out. It's too hard to constantly check yourself and trying to sound like people want you to sound. I'm like, how can I talk to you different and talk to my mama a certain way? And I'm just Montanique. That's me. And this is how I talk.
When Montanique speaks, those who know her culture know she is from Forest City. She hears and speaks from a culture that is native to the Arkansas Delta. She has an Arkansas accent and longs to feel free to speak it.
So I had my grandmother who was Creole and definitely spoke kind of fast, had a lot of different weird pronunciations of words, as you might say. And then I had the books on tape that I listened to, so a lot of different words. For one is like pecan pie. I still say that to this day and everyone thinks it's really weird, but it's because I learned how to read from kind of like a Euro white guy, basically, on a tape. So, and PBS and things like that.
Chantel Mosby is the Associate Director of Event Stewardship in the Office of Engagement at the University of Arkansas. She is from Portland, Arkansas, in the lower Delta in the southeast part of the state.
Instead of picking up all the accents around me. Now, for some words, I will say kind of like water. I really have to think about it even to this day, so not saying just water or something. So a lot of my friends still make fun of me on that one when we're just talking or in the gym, and I was like, oh, let me go get a drink of water or something really quickly. For here in the US, that Midwest, that the less of an accent you have, the more intelligent you sound, the more relatable, and the more kind of, I guess, serious you sound in some respects. So where I went to school at for college, that's something that they really tried to focus on us, is not having that accent. So growing up without that accent, people typically thought I wasn't from where I was, or that I was visiting my actual family from someplace else. That Creole accent is very much a culture. So it's not just an accent from a particular place, like, we all sound a little country here because we're from the sticks, but that culture is really within that accent as well.
There is a link between one's accent and one's culture. And if one is not allowed to speak one's accent, one may not be allowed to share one's culture. I hear the joy of living in a state so connected to mountains, rivers, and all the gifts of the outdoors. I hear the longing for how people used to know their neighbors and trust each other. I hear the excitement for the opportunities this state offers. I hear the frustration and the sadness of being denied the opportunity to live as freely as those whose ancestors founded the state. But there's that word, freely, freedom, what America is supposed to be founded upon, what American holidays in late June and early July celebrate. The question I now have is, can we all be free together? Arkansas is at a crossroads concerning its population, political leadership, and identity. We have people coming from all parts of the country to enjoy our weather, our low cost of living, our beautiful landscapes. Can we offer them the Southern hospitality that we are known for? My hope is that when anyone who lives here is asked where they are from, that person can confidently and proudly give this answer: Arkansas.